Hello, guys. Glad that I'm back and I have a couple of things to tell you. First of all, I very much appreciate your comments and also critics in the past about the quality of the sound. So I was trying to, like investigate something about my microphone and other stuff, and hopefully it's gonna sound better. Please send me your feedback, your I don't know, requests, still our comments. Do you like it at least a little bit more? I would appreciate that very much. That's first thing. Second thing, I just came back after like a pretty big vacation. I was like almost a month away. That's why the channel was a little bit, let's just say, off, like for like a couple of weeks. But now we're just getting back to the normal routine. Third thing, I just came back from Belgrade, where I participated in one of the strongest World Open tournaments this year. More than 600 players, but in the Masters group, more than like 60 GMs. Good experience. I even have to tell you that in the last round, I was fighting for the top 10 places, which is really something for me since I'm very inactive. On your question, did I get a GM norm? No, I did not. I still have to grow up. But more about these openings, games, and stuff, maybe in some other videos. I just want to let you know about one thing. My course and openings and opening suggestions from my Chessable course, Butcher the Sicilian, once again, they've proven to be such a strong weapon in even such a strong tournament. In one of the games, I even had a chance to face Gary's suggestion against Butcher the Sicilian course, and I even managed to get like a pretty good advantage in one of those positions, but at some point I just misplayed in the middle game and I drew my game. Overall, I made another 2 draws with Butcher the Sicilian and another 2 very nice wins. Don't forget, in previous tournament I made 4 out of 4. All things considered, you're probably wondering why did I make such a long introduction, since this video is called Bishop's Opening Ponziani Gambit. On 9th of August, I'm going to publish out my first ever E4 E5 course, which is going to be about the Bishop's Opening. In that video, I'm going to talk about, along with all other variations, about the Ponziani Gambit with white pieces. And let me just show you, this is a special homage to a couple of my really good friends and students who already managed to win their games with my opening suggestions, and they actually like it so much. And they asked me, Mayo, when are you going to publish it out and make it? I said, okay, I'm gonna do it in the course. Yeah, but can you do it just before that, just to do a little bit like one variation, one trick? And I said, okay. So this is a special homage to my students who managed to win like a big number of games with the following opening tricks, as well as Chessable course about the Bishop's Opening that is about to be published out in a month from now. So enjoy, and I hope you are not going to hate me because of this a little bit longer introduction than usual. So let's get started. After like E4, E5, Bishop C4, we got a Bishop's Opening. And along with all these possibilities, generally speaking, black can opt for either Knight F6 or Knight C6. Absolutely the most common reaction is Knight F6, but from my own experience, and I would even say tournament and blitz experience, you're going to face like equally a big number of games, Knight C6 and Knight F6. Knight F6 makes sense, and usually good players are gonna react with this. It also makes sense to stop all those patters opening ideas with the Queen H5. So even on lower levels, lots of my students face the Knight F6. I know the main course in Bishop's Opening is going to be about the third move D3. And it's the only offbeat variation nowadays in the world that is considered to be good against e5. I'm talking about the bishop's opening. It was played by Carlsen, Caruana, and Nepomniachtchi, and all these top guys. So after knight f6, d3 is definitely going to be the thing that you'll have to check, and you can use it even against the top GMs. But here, I just want to show you the d4. In order to get like more of these things, you'll need to get a course when it goes out, just like I told you, in a month from now. So after like knight f6, you go with d4, breaking and reacting in the center. After d4, they have so many options, but most of my opponents and opponents of my students, when I say opponents of my students, I usually say around 16, 17, 18, 1900, 2000, 2100. That range of players really like to make the following kind of tricks and mistakes. So when you play d4, lots of these guys just go with knight e4 or e takes d4. d6 is just bad because you take, and when you take on d8, you don't even have to take on f7 because the pawn on e4 is hanging. But believe it or not, you played this simple developing move, what is clearly better, with really fast development and very mighty threats of taking on e5, jumping on g5, and we spoil the castle. So this is like so much better for us. On the other hand, they can also go with knight e4. And here I want to show you like lots of nice tricks. Knight e4 is a common idea. It's definitely not one of those, I would say, one of those best answers by black, but it's a very common in practice, even by some 26 and 2700 guys, since I had some games on chess.com and Lead Chess. Then you take on e5, and you threaten two kinds of things. First of all, you want to take on f7, followed by queen d5 and queen e4, and you want to play queen d5, threatening knight on e4 and pawn on f7. When you play d takes e5, they have like lots of defensive resources here, or let's just say possibilities to try to defend here. But I say to try because usually your position really looks a lot better. So couple of games my students won when their opponents went for bishop c5, and this is where we at, speaking of this Ponziani opening. Bishop c5, a common developing move. They just want to make castle afterwards, but no, it's not gonna work it this way, baby. After you play bishop c5, queen d5. Here we are threatening queen takes f7, queen takes e4. Even if the knight takes on f2, then you at some point you threaten the bishop on c5. They do not have possibility to defend all these pieces. When they just take on f2 by bishop, because if they take by knight, queen f7 mate, you just go king f1. By the way, if they go castle, you just take the knight on e4. So when they play like this, king f1, and two pieces are hanging. So here, when they play castle, simply because they have to, by the way, don't even bother knight g5. It doesn't save mate, because you can take on g5, take on f7, take on f2, or you can just take on f2. Doesn't matter, you're up a piece, you're just completely winning. A very common mistake, thanks to which big number of my students in the past won their games. So this is mainly video for blitz, bullet games, faster time controls, and also for weaker guys. So after like d takes c5, this is not the only option. Lots of guys want to mate you with the scholar's mate. And I just have to tell you that based on my online experience lately, lots of guys went for this. Okay, speaking of my online experience, I played this d4 just to try it out in practice, and I realized that most of these guys who go actually into this variation, they suffer a lot. So that's why they have to transpose into the Scotch Gambit. But a little about that a little bit later. Those who do queen h4, and it's a very common reaction, you just play bishop e3, defend on f2, and now you're threatening knight f3, followed by queen d5, threatening mate on f7 and knight on e4. When they take on f2, because it looks like they're about to win the bishop on c4, I'll show you a very nice picturesque game. Of course, I do this bishop sack, bishop takes f7, bishop takes f2, And my son, for example, he's like 1700 on these sites, played a game like this. He also knew the next move, and it's very interesting for all of you who use chess.com. When you play 92 here, it is going to tell you, the system is going to tell you that it's incredibly strong move with 2 exclamation marks. So get ready for, maybe for all of you who never played a move like that on chess.com, to finally get a blue color and to say like, oh my goodness, I finally played a move with 2 exclamation marks. 92, and why it's like that? Because they can take on g2. Because if they take on e5, you just play castle. You're just harassing this queen. You just have an amazing development advantage. And in the other case, if they take on g2, you play rook g1, queen h1, and another very nice trick, queen d5 check, king e8, and da-da-da-da, say goodbye to your lady, baby. So this is another very nice trick. This queen on h2 is just trapped. So just like you see, I just showed you these tricks after queen h4 and after bishop c5. Lots of guys like to do c6, like, hey man, you want to do queen d5 yourself, or bishop f7, so I'm not gonna let it happen. It's not a big deal. You just play queen e2 and you say, okay, but not that I don't have anymore queen d5 and bishop f7, but I also don't have d5 because I'm going to take en passant. He takes d6. So after like knight c5, knight f3, you just continue to play a game like this. It's not a big deal even if you lose the light square bishop for the knight, because you'll take by a pawn. A file is going to be yours, while your opponent is going to have lots of problems on the dark squares on c5, d6, and so on. So when they play like this, c4, believe it or not, bring your bishop like this. If they ever take, you just take, and then you have knight c3, knight e4, castles, and just take a look at this terrible dark squares. Also, don't forget something that we shouldn't forget: there is no knight on the king side, so the probability to attack your opponent is way higher. And finally, guys like to do knight c5 in order to oppose any bishop f7 or queen d5 ideas with knight e6. You just play bishop e3. You once again threaten bishop takes c5 followed by bishop f7 or queen d5. And after knight e6, knight c3. I insist here on development of your pieces. Take a look at this one. Everything is so terrible, and this is just an ideal developing position. You just want to complete your development with the queen d2, f4, castles, knight f3, push your pawns like crazy on the king side, and mate your opponent. And just to complete this video, I just have to show you the way that most of my students at least won more than, I'm not lying to you if I say more than 30 games so far. So let me just show you. In case they take on e4, in case they take on d4, you play knight f3. So this is not going to be a video about the Russian Gambit, because Russian Gambit is something that you're going to be able, in the analysis of it, first of all, here on the channel, and secondly, that is also going to be a part of the book that I'm publishing out on Chessable on 19th of August, so get ready for it. But here, I just want to show you something. A very common mistake by these guys. Knight takes c4, and when you play queen takes d4, practically the only move here for black is knight f6. But lots of guys go with this knight e6. Their way of thinking is like, let me just move this knight since it's hanging. I grabbed the pawn, so let me just escape and save myself. Knight e6 is just harassing the bishop, and I just want to complete my development somehow. This very, at first glance, okay move leads to disaster for them, and even a couple of GMs played it against me, and I managed to beat them very easily. But I don't want to talk about me and my games. I just want to tell you that you cannot even imagine how many games you can win with the following tricks. So when you ignore this knight e6 threat, and when you simply tell your opponent, hey, feel free to take this bishop, there we go, I want to show you something else. They take on c4 and everything looks cool. Knight e6 is practically the only move but it's not a big deal because you play rook e1 and similar to what I'm going to show you. After knight e7, then you keep the bishop. I still remember the game against Chinese GM that I played here. Bishop b3 is objectively the best. The guy was 2850 on chess.com. I played knight g5. He probably wanted to say, what is this guy doing? Played h6. I took on d6. And when he played like this, he couldn't stop the checkmate with the queen d5. Another interesting trick and another interesting way to beat them up. And finally, I just want to show you the last trick in this position in case they go knight d6, castles, knight takes c4. This is why I'm actually, this is why I told you this is a very nice homage to all my students who managed to win their games the following fashion. So rook goes on e1 check, bishop e7, you take on g7, and after this bishop h6, threatening queen f8. You cannot even imagine how many wins my students manage with this one. Thank you so much for watching, and hope that you're going to use these tricks in blitz bullet games. It would be even nice in some of your tournament games, but just like I told you, much more about these tricks and this stuff you're going to be able to find in the book that is about to be published out on Chessable. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon. Bye bye.